Tactical Doodle and myself are going to call it the Summer Fails event. Yeah. How's this one? The Summer Fail-a-thon here in the Nut and Fancy project. We take the guns out to the desert. We have high hopes. We're stoked. We're thinking this gun is just going to rock. It's going to be a great tabletop review. We reveal flaws in the gun. Actually, it's not us. It's the curse of the TMP desert that does it. You know the score, dudes. It can work great at the range, and then when it gets out in the desert, I don't know what happens. But it happens. And I got to bring the data at the tabletop and just give it to you straight. That's why you come here to TMP. I got no hidden agendas, man. None. I don't own a gun shop. I'm not trying to make sales off you guys. A lot of the companies hate my guts because when I put a review out, I kill their sales. But if a company gets it right, they're rewarded. Kind of sounds like free market economy at work. So you have a great product, you get rewarded, you get rich from it. Hey, I like that. I'm part of that process. And the way I do it is disseminating truth. Welcome to the tabletop review, finally, I know, of the VZ58. Not really. Century Arms VZ 2008. Insert discussion here how this review has been requested by you guys for about a decade. Insert it right there. You know how it goes. I've said it a lot. Thousands of requests to review the VZ58. And part of that discussion I will emphasize is why didn't it happen earlier? Because I wasn't really stoked on the gun. There's the answer. Take it or leave it. That's the answer. The VZ58 in form, in design, is excellent though, and I'm somewhat of a fan after even shooting this rifle. I've learned about the type. And I think Century Arms is to still be congratulated for coming out with a VZ58 interpretation, 922R compliant, for people who want that AK variant alternative. There's a POU discussion right there. Hey, I don't want an AK, I just want something a little bit different. Same AK reliability, maybe better accuracy, I'll take the VZ58. Cool. The big question is, does the Summer Fail-a-thon continue with this gun? Just gonna have to watch the video. Sometimes I get excited though and I give it away in the title. So I'll probably do that as well. I don't know what I'm gonna title this. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Anyways, so this is a Hungarian interpretation of the AK rifle used by their military services for a long time, replaced by the Bren 805, 806 series. Cool. The real VZ58 has a near flawless, from what I know, which could be incomplete information, I know that, flawless reputation for reliability, service, track record, and it should because it's an AK variant. Granted, it's completely proprietary. It's its own animal. It's not an AK. I'm calling it AK variant. It really isn't that, but I think you know what I mean. It's kind of like an AK. Most people who look at it will say, hey, that's an AK. Even gun guys won't know until they look very closely at it. For instance, with a bolt open, go, hey, wait a minute, that's different. It's a VZ58, that's why. Good service record. And this is a Century Arms product, once again. VZ 2008, but ergonomically, we're looking at a VZ58. It's identical in most respects. And so when I talk about ergonomics, when I'm talking about parts and how things are put together, VZ58, this counts. There is a competitive option that is extremely hard to find. I clicked around on their website and it showed all out of stock, and that is the Checkpoint USA VZ58. And here comes a spoiler alert. I think it's a superior product. And I would buy the Checkpoint without hesitation. If I could find a Checkpoint VZ58 and I'm in the market for the type, there's a lot of other guns that I'd have to go, do I want a VZ58 versus, I don't know, that gun? That is an Ishveshk-produced Russian AK stamped receiver, modified by myself. I don't know, you'd have to decide. Checkpoint USA, though, if they have them, and that is a huge if, because they import them, 922R compliancy, they put on theirs a Lothar Walther barrel, 4340 steel. I mean, quality levels are super high. It's running around $1,100. 3 models. You got a classic that looks like this, has a beaver bark style forend on it, stock furniture. Military is the fixed polymer stock that Checkpoint USA does. And the one I would get is a tactical model. It actually has a buffer tube extendable polymer stock on it. Black furniture, Checkpoint USA. So I think those are cool. I haven't shot one yet. From what I know, my research, they're pretty excellent. And they're only 6.7 pounds, the Checkpoint guns. Wow. So awesome. So it's an AK at 6.7 pounds with a milled receiver. What's not to like? You know, good luck getting them though. I mean, seriously, good luck. The VZ58 in the service with the Czech Army was replaced, I think, the VZ52, 57, and some countries are still using it. Once again, they wouldn't still be using it unless it was excellent. Same can be said for all the AK rifles, AK-74 variants as well. There you go. Philosophy of use. I already said, I'm going to call it the something different philosophy of use. Hey, I don't want an AK. I don't know why a person would think that, but there are people who do think that. Maybe they own 5 AKs already. Let me just do something different. Collectability. Cool. So they get a VZ58 or an interpretation thereof. Canadians, I think, can own the VZ58. In fact, you'll see them show up in comments and go, yep, I love my VZ58. It is legal. There might be some, I don't know, magazine restrictions, whatever they have going up there in Canada. But last time I checked, again, my knowledge could be completely wrong, is it's not considered an AK variant rifle. It's kind of its own creature. It slips under the radar, even though it has the same exact capabilities of that gun right there. And then standard philosophy of use without rule of law, recreational gun. I said collectability already, and truck gun, amongst other things. POU discussion complete. Let's go. SAWC design and ergos. I'm going to start off back here with a bad thing. And again, we're talking about the type, the VZ58 type. This is their glass impregnated particle wood stock, which honestly I think a lot of you guys love. Why is that? Well, I kind of mentioned it already. Let me hammer on it a little bit more. It's because it's different. It kind of is a classic com block look, and a lot of AK guys love it. That's why Tapco came out with their colorized stocks to give that classic, I think, burgundy look. They have some of that. Some guys like the burgundy color magazines. Whatever, you know, is used in the Cold War era, a lot of guys like it. And this is one of those colorations, and it's kind of screams VZ58 to those in the know. I think the vast majority of dudes that get a VZ58 or a VZ2008 will opt to just keep this stock. And I think that's wise, because if you want to start modifying it and spending more money on it, I don't know, is the VZ58 the best platform for that? The platform itself is excellent, but it's such a different creature already. Kind of keep it different in its stock form. Rant complete. Ergonomically, though, I found it to be very standard com blockish. That is to say, very small, tiny pistol grip, very small, tiny, short length of pull stock, which I detest. There you go. There's that truth dart again. Why is that? You know, is it because Warsaw Pact Europeans were smaller, or is it because they're wearing winter gear? Who cares? It's still small. It's small for the average American shooter. Now, if you're a short guy, 5.5 foot tall or something like that, you have smallish hands, maybe small, medium-sized gloves, this will fit you very well. It will. We have, I think, an aluminum butt plate on here on the Century Arms interpretation. Actually, the look of the stock, I don't mind. You know, I was talking about why guys like it, but the look itself, it's kind of different. You know, does it look like something you'd find in the Lowe's lumber department? Yeah, it kind of does. It looks like a building material stock. I don't know, it's kind of different though. One thing I didn't like though, and neither did Tactical Doodle when we shot it, is it smacks you right in the cheek. And it has kind of a very distinct recoil impulse. It's got a big bolt carrier group. It seems like it's bigger than an AK, and I just felt that the recoil on it, granted I only have a slant brake up there, it was substantial, you know. So was the recoil impulse was just smacking our cheek. And I'm rubbing my cheek right now, and it's still not bad, but it's a little bit sore from shooting the VZ. There you go. That's just the way it is. That's a downside. I'm not going to lie to you. It was kind of annoying to the point where I was like, hey, let's go through another mag. And Doodle's like, no, I'm good. I don't want to. I'm not having fun shooting this gun. So There you go. Whatever. Milled receiver. So the Czechs put it together, their interpretation, like, yeah, we're not going to do a stamped receiver like that gun in the background. And it is more accurate because they went with that. And amazingly, even though it's a milled receiver on the VZ58 series of guns, it's pretty lightweight. With this one, with its magazine, is 7 pounds 3 ounces, which is remarkable, especially since it has a medium profile barrel, which we'll look at here in a second. That's great. And like I said, the Checkpoint VZ58 is 6.7, probably same weight, and that's probably without magazine. It has to be 6.7. I always weigh it with the magazine. What's the purpose? It's part of the system. Duh. Good job on the milled receiver. I mean, Century put this together to meet 922R compliancy. There's going to be certain U.S. produced parts so they can bring this gun in. There might be some surplus parts they mill in there. I'm not going to go down the litany of lists, and I don't really care. All I care about how it looks, the quality levels that I can detect and use, examining the gun, and most importantly, track record. Track record, we'll get to that. Yeah. Actually, we'll probably get to it before I start talking, because I'm going to show inset footage like I always do, and you'll probably see it happening. How's that? That's how I'm going to announce the track record and see if the summer fail-a-thon continued with this CAVZ 2008. Milled receiver, and I believe it's aluminum receiver. It's a lot of metal. If that's steel, dude, it would be heavier. And no, I didn't like really super check. The whole operating system is different than an AK. It's a short stroke piston. It's a striker fired AK variant. I'm calling it AK variant, you know what I'm saying? Well, which is cool. I mean, it's different. It's got a really cool safety lever right here, which is ergonomic, albeit backwards. So safe, it depends on your interpretation. That's fire. That's safe. And if you're in a select fire VZ58, of course, that would be your total selector lever. That's cool. That's a great ergonomic thing. The magazine release, I think, is a great ergonomic thing too. A huge improvement. Well, I shouldn't say huge improvement, but kind of an improvement over a regular AK. One, it's guarded by the trigger guard, so you can't inadvertently pop it just by virtue of its design. Now, I'm right-handed, and so when I come up to do a magazine swap, it's right here ready to rock. I really like that. We love the magazine paddle. One thing you may not like is if you're used to YouTube magazine reloads, you may not like it. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about like years ago, guys were trying to prove how fast they were and doing a quick reload on the AK. They just take the loaded mag, smack the paddle, mag drops out, and they slap it in. Oh, it was like a contest. I don't think it's practical at all in a gunfight, but whatever. It looks good. You can't do it with a VZ58 because it's occluded right here. I like this paddle system. I think it's awesome. Also awesome, and you're looking at right now, is last shot hold open. Like that. Man, that is really excellent. Another big improvement over the AK-47. And even with the magazine out, you can hold your bolt back. It's right here. So that button right there will hold your bolt open. Just retract, kind of like a 1022. Boom. Done. Just love it. There's a look at the magazine well. No problems there at all. The milling on the gun is superb. I cannot fault it. I mean, I'm looking at the machining for the price level. I mean, I'm seeing some striations here, but still, I mean, for the price level, what was this, $500? Totally worth it. Here's your field strip right now. I'll just insert a couple photos. A little bit different. There's two springs, not just one. There's going to be a sear spring and then a bolt carrier group spring. I thought the field strip is actually pretty simple. No problems at all. It's interesting getting in it and seeing how the different interpretation, the short stroke piston, kind of AK-ish, kind of not. Depends on your interpretation, whatever. That's field strip. Hope you enjoyed it, relished it. The bolt, or the charging knob, I like too. It's more extended than an AK variant rifle, like this one here. And I always have rubber nubs on these because they're in the gun safe, and that way it minimizes damage to their neighbors. Sometimes just shoot with it on. Works great. So there's a regular charging handle for an AK variant rifle. I kind of like that one a little bit better. I do. It worked excellent. The trigger on it, on the VZ58, VZ2008, how is it? I think the trigger's decent. I mean, it's in shooting it, I didn't say, oh, this trigger's just so bad, I got to replace it. It was okay. It was decent. Back to the design features. Standard AK sights, 15-inch sight radius. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The short sight radius on any AK variant rifle, if unmodified, sucks. It just does. Can you hit out to 800 meters with it? If you can, send a letter or a postcard to the post office box, and I'll take you out and you can show the world how you do it. I'll give you a, let's see, I'll give you a 12 to 15-inch plate at 800 meters and see if you can hit it. With any AK you want, open-sighted, but it has to be the stock com block sights on it. It ain't going to happen. There ain't no way. 300 yards, you're going to have a very difficult time, speaking from experience. 100 yards in, no problem. And that's where we shot this gun, and it worked great. Accurate, worked fine. The rear sight, no issues with it. Of course, it's AK, so that means you can't do any adjustments back here. It's all up there. Speaking of which, we could not adjust the windage on the Century Arms VZ 2008. Here's some photos. Heated it up, tried to move it with 3 different AK front sight tools, no joy. Actually got out a punch set with a mini sledgehammer, tried to move it that way, still did not budge. Yes, we lubed it, yes, we heated it up. I gave up. True story. I was like, holy crap, I've never seen that ever on, and I've shot a lot of AKs, I've worked on a lot of AKs. I've never seen that where I cannot adjust the windage. I don't know what they did. They red Loctite it. If they did, it should have loosened up with the heat. They didn't. Well, fortunately, when I took it out, the windage was pretty close, so we were able to conduct tests with it. No problem. That was cool. Standard AK front sight post with the wings. That's all good. You got a bayonet lug up here. This one, is equipped with a slant muzzle brake. Standard AK threading. Now, those Checkpoint VZ58s, another advantage is they actually have a 14-to-1 right-hand threaded barrel, if I'm not mistaken, and that makes it better for muzzle devices. This will have to take specific AK variant muzzle devices, of which there's some good ones. I've shown some, so go watch my best AK in the World Series or whatever the freak I call that when I talk about muzzle devices, which I like. That's just a standard AK-74 muzzle brake on that SGL. Worked good. Barrel is pretty good, judging from the accuracy, and I talked about the thickness already, and I talked about the bayonet lug already. I thought the gas tube removal during the field strip was actually pretty easy. I like that. A couple sling attachment points here, which is pretty standard AK. And it's ventilated foregrip and short, just like all AKs. That's a problem too. When I'm standing and firing these, I mean, I'm always wearing tactical gloves, and good thing, because oftentimes I just accidentally come up here because it's very short to hold it there, which is kind of an interesting sidetrack, because if you get an AK and you like a VZ58 and you go, hey, I'm just going to leave it as is, just make sure you're good to live with those ergonomics forever. Obviously, I'm not. For AKs that I consider a warfighting piece of equipment in the Nut and Fancy clan, I modify that beast. Just like this, Magpul, got a Zukov folder stock on it. Dang, dude, this is a great gun. It's not 6.5 pounds though when I put all that stuff on, so I'm going kind of, with some firepower versus mobility thing, yet again. Front to back, actually, the takeaway on all this, of how VZ's put together, more mass, it seemed to me, more recoil impulse. I like the charging handle, trigger's good, love the paddle, the mag safety, the bolt hold open, last shot hold open, all that's good, man. I mean, it really is. And the Century came out with a folding stock version. I understand that folding stock is actually pretty excellent as well. Stable, no rattles. One thing I don't like on the receiver, and I'm so glad I remember this, is there's no optics rail. Oh, that sucks. The Checkpoint USA one does have an optics rail. That's a big deal to me. I like the option of doing optics whenever I possibly can. Did they do this to keep it pure for the collector? Probably. To minimize costs? Probably. Yeah, I get that. But mounting one is a pain in the butt, or it's expensive. Again, the Checkpoint product has it on already, I think. Just pay the extra money and get it. Then you can run it if you want. If you don't run it. Another thing, though, glad I remember this too, that no one talks about amongst some of my points, is that it's a very open action. It's not an enclosed action like an AK variant rifle that has a top cover This is completely exposed. I never hear anybody complain about this. And yet I've done reviews on other guns like Mini 14s and they go, oh man, it's totally open to mud and rain. I never trust my life to this gun. And yet for a VZ58, they go, oh yeah, that's the best gun ever. It's the same, dude. Do I think that's a problem? No. I've ran Grand Actions forever, but you see how that's covered. It's a thought. It's a thought. This is completely open when it's last shot hole open. What if you're in the mud when that happens? I don't know. Firepower. 30 rounds. It is a proprietary magazine, so this magazine does not fit that and vice versa. This is an AK variant magazine. Magpul. I love how they're made of aluminum. They're only 6.5 ounces in weight, and they seem very well constructed. That's the upside. The downside, and it may drive to the heart of track record, is that you are going to get surplus magazines for them. Are there new construction magazines for them? Maybe. Didn't really look that hard. The thing is when you go with a VZ58, it's a limited appeal AK variant. There's not a lot of them out there, and that means there's not going to be a ton of accessories. There's not going to be a ton of different companies making things for them. Take it or leave it. That's what you get when you get something eclectic. The magazine issue is a case in point. You know, Midway USA is selling them for about 20 bucks. Totally worth it. I mean, that's reasonable price for, you know, the gun, and the quality is super high. And also, I didn't mention this, you can actually stripper clip this beast if you want. It has stripper clip cutouts there. So you can actually run it like an SKS. So fixed magazine. Why anyone ever would do that, I don't know. The only way that would ever make any sense is if you're in a if you have to legally pin the magazine to in some stupid locale, and then you have to top charge it. So surplus mags. And you really don't know the history on the magazines. You don't know the history or fatigue level of the springs. If it has that, may become a player again. But the firepower is excellent, and that takes us to accuracy. Let's do accuracy first. I was very pleased with the accuracy of the VZ 2008. Now on the targets I write down VZ58, but you get it. The ones I have, and I'm showing you, are the 35 rounders. This is Russian white box. This is desert polymer table. It's really hard to shoot good that way, but we seem to do it okay. And point of aim was here. I hit it there, and then I corrected it. That's not a great group, but this group is really good. That's a great group. Great group. Up arrow. Anything from an AK variant rifle that gets like that. I wouldn't say great. It's a good group. A great group would be basically one ragged hole. But again, it's my eyes. It's iron sights. There's no optics involved. And that, by the way, is Wolf 124 grain jacket or hollow point. And then we go back to Russian white box. I'll end with this one. Could I shoot that good at 100 yards? Absolutely not. Not me. At 100 yards, my group would be about like this. Maybe in the green. All in the green. Maybe a little bit better, because it has a very coarse front sight. It's standard short sight radius. You get it. I don't know. You know, if I could put another sight in the back, like Tech Sights does, I don't think they make anything, again, getting to the accessories problem for the VZ58. But if I could, then yeah, I could shoot that one. I'll say accuracy is good to excellent. Again, going back to that milled, very stiff receiver. Of course, non-free floated barrel. Then we get to the heart of the matter. The Summer Fails event. How did it do? Nothing fancy. And more importantly, it kind of comes down to this. Would you buy the Century Arms VZ 2008 and put it into your collection? Is it that good?
Have a hard recoil.
Here's the answer. Absolutely not. I would not. Here, the thing is, we took this gun out to the desert. We're running it. Now, granted, a couple ergonomic issues we talked about. What we're dealing with those, we're like, yeah, this thing is freaking cool. Failure to feed. Failure to feed. Oh, crap. Failure to feed. Maybe it's the magazine. Put in a different magazine. Failure to feed. Oh, by the way, did I mention we're not shooting steel-cased ammo? We're actually shooting... In fact, I think most of the tests, other than accuracy, it was this. Red Army brass. Which is good stuff. It's not very accurate, but it's good stuff. It's pretty reliable. Very consistent, clean burning. Fail. So yes, it is part of the summer fail-a-thon in the Nut and Fancy project. I know. It's very disappointing. And to give the gun another chance, I got the rest of the magazines. I had 5. By the way, so I took the gun to the indoor range, tried it again. Second chance. I tried all 5 magazines. When firing slowly, again with brass ammo, it seemed to be okay. It worked fine. And then I started to do some rapid fire drills, and the problems resurfaced. Failure to feed. Failure to feed. You're watching the video. I'll say what I said during the Golani Sporter review and other guns that just don't do well. You know, it just doesn't interest me. And can you buy a VZ 2008 and make it reliable? My gut feeling is, yeah, you can. You can find out what's going on with it, troubleshoot it. Is it the magazine spring? Is it something internal in here? I have an inkling that you could probably troubleshoot it and fix it. But the big question is why? You know, why when there's so many great alternatives to buy that are good out of box? I don't want to buy a broken gun when it's new. By the way, this is new. It's new out of box. It has not seen a ton of rounds. So in case you're wondering, there's your answer. So I know I wouldn't buy it. I definitely wouldn't trust my life to it from what I've seen. What I would like to do, and this is just me talking, is if possible, I would just like to get inside each of these magazines and replace the spring with something brand new, something fresh, and redo the test. I'm not doing that. I'm not interested in doing it, but there's just something, I don't know, from the experience I've had, seeing how guns work and how they don't work, it might be magazine related. That's what I'm saying. So can you fix it? Yeah. Well, I had 5 mags though. I'm not going to get more than that. That's a pretty good sample size. Really good sample size. So track record was not good, dude. That takes us to accessories. Fabco, an Israeli company, they make some pretty cool accessories. They're not always the lightest around, but they're super strong, super solid. Does make accessories for the VZ58 series of rifles. They've got a UAS VZP, that's the item number, folding stock, which is honestly kind of ghastly looking, but it looks to be strong. It has a good polymer folding mechanism. You might look into it. AG58 pistol grip by Fabco. That is much larger. It's going to be much more comfortable. They have kind of what I think is a heavy front rail system. If you wanted that, you could get that. And there might be some others out there as well. I don't know if Mission First stuff will fit on it. It might. Again, going back to the fact that you chose a VZ58 variant rifle, there's not a lot out there. I mean, versus this, an AK, standard AK. Look at how I've modded this. I mean, dude, it's got everything I want on it. Why? Because it's a super popular gun. A stamped receiver AK variant. It's super popular. Cool gun, though. I really love this gun. SGL modified by myself. But look at all the stuff you're going to miss out with the VZ58. No, at least the VZ2008. No side rail. It's going to be much harder to do this, much harder to do that. You just have a couple options, maybe just one. Fewer magazine options. With an AK variant rifle, you've got all kinds of magazine options. Drum magazines, Magpul, Surplus, Tapco, new construction, Palm, name it, dude. You've got all types of options, and most of them are pretty excellent. Great forend, attachment of accessories. So this is basically a product improved AK. Can you do all of that with a VZ58, VZ2008? I would say yes, you can. The Czech military had a lot of parts and stuff that they put on theirs. Some of that may be available. I'm sure there's forums out there that are completely dedicated to the VZ58. Probably some good information in there about it. But it is a concern. Value options. So let's say, again, if this thing worked 100%, we've proven it's accurate. We've talked about how it's built, ergos, and crap. The highest I would go with a Century Arms VZ2008 is 4 stars. But my likability, because of reliability issues, is going to be much lower. Much lower. Much lower. How do you like that? Yeah, it's part of the summer fail-a-thon, dudes. I probably would steer clear of it. No doubt, guys will show up in the comments and say, yeah, I've had great luck with mine. I say, more power to you. Congratulations, but I'm not going to come to the table and lie. You know, I'm not owning a gun store and, trying to get you guys to go buy this gun from me. I don't freaking care. I'm not even FFL. There you go. Careful what you ask for. Hey, nothing fancy. Review the VZ58. You got it. See it. Come closer. But doesn't this kind of illustrate one of the problems of the VZ58 is you're going to be using old mags with old springs.
Yeah.
You could probably get upgraded springs, but...
Well, it seems like the only time we can count on is when we're starting from a closed bolt like this.
It's later in the magazine that it's problematic. You don't have to pop it out all the way. You know, just throw the bolt forward like I was doing.
I tried. That's how I got the last one. It stops.
You gotta let that bolt fly, dude. Like this. Daddy fixes. Like that.
Okay. I wanted to like it, but I really don't like it at all.